Hi, everyone. This is Carrie. Thanks for watching. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today, we're diving into a new case. I had to take a break from Terrell Brooks. You guys have to understand that. I want to talk about this Highland case. So let me share the screen. The Highland Park parade. This happened last 4th of July in 2022. And this guy went into the Highland Park, Illinois Independence Day parade. And apparently he just started shooting people. It occurred around 10:14 a.m., roughly 15 minutes after the parade had started. As you guys can tell, I'm on Wiki, so this is Wiki's version, okay? 7 people were killed and 48 others were wounded by bullets or shrapnel. Authorities apprehended 21-year-old Robert Eugene Cremo III more than 8 hours after the shooting and charged him the next day with 7 counts of first-degree murder. On July 27th, the charges were upgraded to 21 counts of first-degree murder, 48 counts of aggravated battery. The incident is one of the 2 deadliest mass attacks in Illinois' history, and the other being the 1993 Brown's Chicken Massacre, which also resulted in the deaths of 7 people. It says that in downtown Highland Park, with the shooter firing a rifle from the rooftop of Ross Cosmetics building, he gained access to the elevated position by using an unsecured ladder attached to the building. He used a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 semi-automatic rifle with 3 30-round magazines, and a total of 83 shots were fired. The victims included spectators and some of those marching in the parade. At least one parade attendee provided medical treatment to those injured before first responders arrived. Okay, and just so everybody, if you're familiar with this, what happened here, I'm not. I don't remember. I remember seeing a little bit about it, but just note that when we're creating YouTube content, we don't have time to watch a lot of other stuff. So this is my first dive into the case, so I'm kind of learning with those of you that are new to it as well. Okay, I want to know what the ages of these victims were. It says there was a manhunt. Over 100 law enforcement officers from multiple agencies. Well, wait, let me go back up. Okay. Over 100 law enforcement officers from multiple agencies responded to the shooting. The shooter ceased firing as law enforcement officers approached the building, causing the shooter to flee the scene and evade immediate capture. During his escape, the rifle Cremo used fell from his bag and was recovered by police within minutes. He then drove to Madison, Wisconsin area with a different type of semi-automatic rifle in his car. He considered attacking another Independence Day celebration in Madison, but decided against it. He discarded his cell phone in Middleton, Wisconsin. It was later suspected that after fleeing the scene, Cremo borrowed his mother's car and drove to Madison, Wisconsin, where he briefly contemplated a second attack. Okay, I want to know the motive here. A driver from Waukegan and his passengers spotted Cremo's damaged 2010 Honda Fit on the southbound U.S. Route 41. Over the next 13 minutes, they relayed information to 911 operators that Cremo was stopped by North Chicago Police and Lake County Sheriff units at the intersection of U.S. Route 41 and Wesley Road in Lake Forest, Illinois, and he was apprehended at approximately 6:30 p.m., more than 8 hours after the shooting began. Okay, so 5 of the victims, all adults, died at the scene and 2 died at the hospital. Mexican authorities have said that 2 men killed at the parade were natives of the country. One of these was a 78-year-old Mexican grandfather who was visiting family in the area, and another was a 69-year-old man. 2 Jewish victims were killed. That were killed were a 63-year-old woman and an 88-year-old grandfather. Sad. Another was a 64-year-old mother of 2. Of the others that were killed, 2 victims were a married couple in their 30s who attended the parade with their 2-year-old son, who survived and was found wandering unaccompanied. Oh my goodness, bless his little heart. Oh God, I hope he has family around him to take care of him now. The shooting victims ranged in age from 8 to 88 years old. Highland Park Hospital reported that they were treating 26 people after the shooting, 25 being gunshot wounds, with 5 later transferred to Evanston Hospital. Additionally, 4 of the injured were transported to Glenbrook Hospital, and several others were taken to hospitals outside the North Shore University Medical System network. While it says Cremo's motives remain unclear, the London-based Institute for Strategic Dialogue said it appeared Cremo's extensive online presence contained posts that gravitated towards far-right and neo-fascist ideologies. See, I hate politics. I don't like to bring politics into my channel because this is an entertainment thing that I provide, and to me, politics is not entertaining. It's just it causes, fights among people. Neo-fascists, racial supremacy. I don't care what side you're on, Republican or Democrat. We're gonna enjoy my channel, and we're not gonna talk politics. So when somebody does something like this, it's just another sign that obviously there's something wrong with this person. According to experts, QAnon is an all-American political conspiracy theory and political movement. I forgot QAnon. I forgot how to say it. The world Cremo lived in was pretty far off Q. He was in a 4chan bubble of ironic Nazi and anime memes, fascist-inspired music, and mass shooter ideation that basically consumes nothing but irony and sadness. Okay, so let me pull up the picture of this guy real quick. If you guys haven't seen this picture, oh, good gracious, this kid. So this is who we're talking about. Look at him. He's a strange-looking little individual. He's a strange-looking little man. He was 21 years old. He is very strange-looking, isn't he? Okay, so what brought me back to this case? Yes, it happened over a year ago, but what brought my attention back to this case was the fact that his dad is now going to court for the access to the firearms. So once again, we have another situation, just like with the Ethan Crumbley situation, where they're bringing the parents in and saying, we're holding you accountable. The difference in this case is that Ethan Crumbley was a minor. He was 14 or 15. This guy's 22. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. So let me go into what I found on his father or what's going on. Let's talk about the case with his father. We'll go to AP News because this just came up a few days ago. There's his dad. It says Illinois judge refuses to dismiss the case against the father of parade shooting suspect. This is dated August the 28th of 2023 by Michael Tarm. It was updated. A judge on Monday refused to dismiss the case against a father who helped his son obtain a gun license 3 years before authorities say the younger man fatally shot 7 people at the 2022 4th of July parade in suburban Chicago. Illinois prosecutors charged Robert Cremo Jr. under an unconstitutionally vague law, his lawyer argued at a hearing earlier this month in Waukegan, north of Highland Park, where the shooting took place. Lake County Judge George Strickland rejected that argument, as well as a defense contention that prosecutors charged Cremo Jr. too late, after a 3-year statute of limitations had passed. The court's rulings mean Cremo Jr.'s November 6th trial will go ahead as previously scheduled. The judge said that at the hearing earlier in August that he would take 3 weeks to mull over a decision, and he announced his ruling on Monday. So this was this past Monday, which was, what date was that? The 21st of August. No, I'm sorry, the 28th of August. Cremo Jr. listened intently from a defense table chair, his hands folded in front of him. He didn't appear to show any outward reaction as the judge dashed any hopes the case would be thrown out. So he pled not guilty earlier this year to 7 counts of reckless conduct, 1 count for each person killed. Each count carries a maximum of 3 years in prison. Prosecutors had alleged that he helped his son, Robert Cremo III, obtain a gun license even though the then 19-year-old had threatened violence. Okay, but he's still 19. He's not a minor. So I feel like that's what's going to make this case like so interesting to see how it's ruled. The 4th sentence section of the state law invoked to charge Cremo Jr. says a person commits reckless conduct when he or she, by any means lawful or unlawful, recklessly performs an act or acts that cause great bodily harm or permanent disability or disfigurement to another person. So his defense is like, no, it's just not, But the defense is saying that it offers no definition of cause, opening the way for prosecutors to wrongly link the signing of a gun license application to a shooting years later. Here, the reckless conduct charge specifically seeks to criminalize the defendant's lawful act by signing a truthful affidavit, according to the filing. It adds that until Cremo Jr.'s case, Illinois has never prosecuted an individual for signing a truthful affidavit under oath. Interesting. His lawyer argued earlier this month that prosecutors interpreted the law in an overly broad way that could create a chilling effect for residents who would worry that signing any affidavit, in this case a firearm owner's ID application, could eventually be deemed reckless conduct. That's a good point, but it wasn't just any affidavit, though. It was an affidavit to buy this crazy, strange-looking little boy a gun. You can't tell me he didn't know what was going on with his kid. But you know what? I guess they say that this could be a case. This looks like the type of case that would be where his dad just wasn't in his life. He wasn't paying attention. He was working or whatever he was doing. This boy obviously did not get the attention he deserved growing up from his father. And it doesn't say anything about his mom or anything, but now, wait, a grand jury indicted the son last year on 21 first-degree murder counts, 48 counts of attempted murder, and 48 counts of aggravated battery, representing the 7 people killed and dozens wounded in the attack. Potential evidence is voluminous in the son's case, for which no trial date has yet been set. He's pled not guilty. I thought he pled guilty earlier. Okay, I'm confused. Prosecutors said after the father's arrest that the accusations were based on his sponsorship of his son's application for a gun license. What kind of gun was it? For this particular, I guess when you apply for a gun license, it's any kind of gun. So what was said? Did he think he was going to use it to go out hunting? I mean, what? Authorities say Cremo III tried to kill himself in April of 2019. Okay, wait a minute. This prosecutor said after the father's arrest that the accusations were based on his sponsorship of his son's application for a gun license in December of 2019. Authorities say that his son tried to kill himself in April of 2019 and was accused by a relative in September of 2019 of making threats to kill everyone. Boom, there's your case. I mean, as long as they have receipts to back that up. And then his attorneys are trying to say no, but there was a deadline, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. Legal experts say that it's rare for a parent or guardian of a suspect in a shooting to face charges, in part because it's so difficult to prove such charges. Yeah, but it's they're fixing it. I just think the stage is being set. It's for people taking responsibility for their parts that they played in these things that are going down with these mass attacks. Oh, I didn't know this. The father is a familiar face around Highland Park, where he was once a mayoral candidate and operated convenience stores. He was released on a $50,000 bond after his December arrest. So, see, I bet his dad is just one of those that just has no clue what's going on in his son's life. Probably raised by his mother or society. I don't know. Sounds like he was a little bit coddled. Also, Monday, the judge indicated that he was open to a TV camera being part of the court during Cremo Jr.'s trial. They're saying that the Lake County State's Attorney, Eric Reinhart, told the judge he wouldn't want media coverage for any evidence in the father's case to disrupt the prosecutor's case against the son, but that ultimately his office did not object to permitting live and filmed footage. And the defense didn't object to it either. He did say 2 potential defense witnesses may object to TV coverage of their testimony, which would be his son, the perpetrator, the suspect, the alleged shooter, and his mother. He added that they will object to calling him to testify in his father's case. Denise Cremo. Is she a victim in all this too, guys, you think? Okay, here we have something from the Independent. I'm going to go over here.
The suspect's mother is seen here in a confrontation with police on the 1500 block of McDaniels Avenue in Highland Park. The video shows SWAT teams standing on that street as she shouts and makes gestures, appearing very angry.
It says Highland Park suspect's mother confronted SWAT team hours after shooting. She's got a different last name. So I wonder if, I guess they're divorced? She angrily confronted a SWAT team in the aftermath of the 4th of July mass shooting. Video obtained by CBS News shows her shouting and gesturing at officers in McDaniels Avenue, Highland Park, as on Monday as a massive manhunt was underway for her son. Of course, in her defense, I mean, she is probably freaking out and like doesn't even know what to do at this point. Let's see.
Robert Crimo III appeared in court today wearing a face mask, seated next to his defense attorneys. New today, the trial date for the accused gunman charged in the Highland Park parade shooting will be set 3 months from today. New discovery materials submitted into evidence today, photographs and medical records from various hospitals, after Robert Crimo III allegedly shot and killed 7 and injured dozens more during a premeditated and calculated attack at the Highland Park Independence Day parade. In July, a grand jury handed down a 117-count indictment against Crimo. He now faces 48 counts of attempted murder, 48 counts of aggravated battery, and 21 murder charges. Prosecutors asked the judge for 3 more months to finish gathering evidence today. They're still awaiting an FBI report and chain of custody paperwork. The gunman's father, who also faces felony reckless conduct charges for allegedly helping his son get a FOID card, also attended today's hearing. In August, a judge refused to dismiss his case. Prosecutors said if Robert Crimo Jr. never signed documents allowing his son to get a firearm owner's identification card, the Highland Park mass shooting never would have happened. Robert Crimo III's next court date is set for December 11th. His father's bench trial is set for November 6th.
Oh, this is a rabbit hole. Y'all want to go down it? Oh, shoot. Let's go down it. Why not? We've done worse, right? So this is the April 2009, and it's a well-being check. The complainant called from Des Plaines. He seemed intoxicated, and he requested officers check the well-being of a Denise Persina. Now that's the mother. He said he talked to her for 10 minutes ago. He talked to her 10 minutes ago on the phone, and she was concerned that her husband/boyfriend Robert was coming home soon, and there would be a physical domestic. The complainant wanted a call back. They met with her, who said that everything was fine. All appeared okay. The narrative was he thinks his girlfriend was hit by her husband possibly earlier. David Daniels, mental disorder, intoxication. Yes, that's the caller. At residence wanting to speak with Denise Crimo. Oh, this is November of 2009. That's a different date. She did not answer, and Daniels called the police for a cab. Daniels was taken home by officers. It's just like all these cases. I mean, it's like they've got a long history with law enforcement, you know? Suspicious vehicle in November 22. So was she saying this guy was stalking her or something? Okay, wait. Now this is the... They're talking about her, the mother. It says that his girlfriend Denise is home on McDaniels Avenue and said she was going to commit, you know what? She was going to hurt herself. The caller is intoxicated. But they spoke with Denise Piscina Crimo, who stated she is okay and never said she was going to hurt herself and does not intend to. She stated that she's ill and has called police on her before for false reasons. Then we've got a domestic trouble in July of 2022, July 6th of 2022. Wait a minute. This is after the shooting. Okay, let's see. Is this the one where the father is claiming to be the victim and that the mother was the offender. So like, a domestic battery. Oh my word. See, this is what happens. It's on Tuesday, October 26th at 2:38 a.m. I responded to their address for the report of domestic troubles between a husband and wife. Upon arriving, I met with Bob Cremo, Robert Cremo Jr., who was sitting in his truck in the driveway. Bob related that he returned home from work at 12:15 a.m. and had a verbal argument with his wife Denise. Bob related that he went upstairs, brushed his teeth, then informed his wife he was going to bed. While in bed, Bob related that his wife was trash talking. At this time, Bob left the residence to go sit in his truck. Bob then contacted Denise via phone to let him back in the house. Bob again laid down to go to bed. Bob then related that Denise came into the room stating she needed to remove the lock from the bedroom door if he was going to stay in the house. After removing the lock from the door, Denise then knocked all of Bob's belongings off of his dresser, then asked him to leave. Bob then left the resident, at which point in time he contacted the non-emergency number to file an incident. While explaining the incident, Bob related that Denise had hit him with a screwdriver on the left forearm, leaving a small scratch. So this is after the incident. Officers attempted to make so I'm not gonna. She might have been pissed. You know what? Wait, no, wait. This is not after the incident. This is before the incident. Scratch that part. Officers attempted to make contact with Denise with negative results. A message was left on Denise's cell phone to contact the department. At this time, Bob drove to the station to complete a written statement of the incident. Bob refused to put in the statement regarding being struck by a screwdriver and simply stated she didn't try to hit me with it and it's nothing. They tried to contact Denise. She wouldn't answer the phone. Later in the day, another officer made contact with her and a witness statement was completed by Denise regarding the incident, stating that it was Bob who started the argument and that it was in no way physical. Denise made no mention of removing the lock from the door or hitting Bob with a screwdriver. And basically, they took it to the DA and they said, no, we decline charges. We don't have enough for charges. So it was just an incident. But this is his written statement, the father's. I'm not going to do this because this is the same thing that they just put on the thing. She said she was double locking the door and do not bother to come back. Well, I'm going to go ahead and read it. Okay. He arrived home from work. He went to lay down in the bedroom. Wife said, keep door unlocked. I said, okay. After a few minutes of her trash talking me, I left the house and went to sit in my truck. I then contacted her to open the front door to let me in. She said I was lucky that she heard him since she had fallen asleep within that time. I then entered the house and proceeded to go up to the bedroom. After laying down, Denise entered the room and stated that she would need to remove the lock on the bedroom door if I'm going to stay. Oh, I said it's nearly 2 a.m. I will not lock the door. She then proceeded to unscrew the lock and removed it from the door. She then clotheslined my dressers, leaving my belongings on the floor. She then said, I want you to leave. I said, don't worry, I am leaving. At that point, I got dressed again and went downstairs to leave. Denise said that she is double locking the door. Do not bother to come back. I then went outside to my truck and contemplated calling the police to make a record that she was not feeling well from her is he talking about hormones? Her hormones being out of line. I then proceeded to call to say that I wanted to make a incident report. I briefly told the dispatcher the story, and she told me she would send a car over. Now, here's Denise's side, you guys. She says, when he came home, he was very irate, making mean statements to me, like always calling me names. I am tired of being called names and not having a place to sleep of my own in 8 years. He sleeps in the bed only. He got dressed and left Saturday. Sat outside. He got dressed and left, sat outside, then came back in. He got undressed, then called me names, and I asked him to leave. He got dressed again, then left. At that point, I turned my phone off, locked the door, and slept with all of my children with the door closed. He threatens to call the police for any and every argument we get in. He says he wants the police to see I'm crazy. The argument was not physical. Kind of wonders. I mean, obviously the marriage isn't going well. Um, so is he like getting ready to divorce her and he wants all this documented? Is that all this is? It says the caller was arrested for domestic, needs to pick up something from his home. He's in a blue Ford Escape. Oh, not the Ford Escape again. It says Mr. Cremo was present for less than 5 minutes to collect his belongings and a change of clothes. No other assistance was requested. And then, wait, that was in December after that fight, right? And then in May of 2011, they had a verbal domestic, possible intoxication. Robert E. Cremo Jr. and Denise M. Pacina had a verbal argument about going to see their ex-roommate, David Daniels, in Chicago. Robert refused to drive because she was intoxicated. Verbal only. Robert left for the night. Domestic troubles. This is August of 2010 at approximately 4:31 a.m. Officer Wagner and Bradish were dispatched to their address for a verbal domestic in progress. Upon arrival, Officer Wagner observed Robert Cremo and Denise Piscina Cremo outside in front of their single-family residence, separated but arguing loudly. Officer Wagner gave both parties verbal commands to calm down and separate further. Officer Bradish then arrived on scene and aided in their separation. Upon speaking with Mr. Cremo, he advised that he had just returned home from work and discovered that his wife, Miss Persina Cremo, was intoxicated. Mr. Cremo said an argument ensued over their failing relationship and began to escalate. Mr. Cremo alleged that at one point his wife had taken off her shoe and struck him on the head. I'm sorry. Mr. Cremo advised he called police before the situation escalated. So yeah, he's always the one calling the police. She's right about that. She stated that she was upset from events earlier in the day when she felt disrespected and belittled by her husband. She advised that she began drinking because of the comments. Sounds like he's an asshole anyway, you know what I mean? I mean, is this one of those incidents where the wife is just totally pushed to the side? All he does is work. He treats her like she doesn't exist or he gives her zero respect. She does everything at the house. She takes care of all the children. And then meanwhile, they've bred this little crazy monster who's now 22 years old. I think he was living at home. I'm not sure. We haven't gotten there yet, but we'll see. Okay. Denise further advised that the argument occurred as soon as her husband walked in the door. She explained that he walked in, gave her a disgusted look, and began commenting on her poor appearance. Oh, after officers determined that no evident physical contact occurred, the officer asked Mr. Cremo if there was another place where he could stay for the night, and Mr. Cremo advised that he was able to stay elsewhere and left the area. Upon his exit, the officer spoke with Denise about options in dealing with her troubled relationship. The officer Wagner offered her a domestic violence package. She refused, stating she already received one a few days ago when police were called to her residence for a similar situation. The officers encouraged the couple to seek marital counseling or separation to remedy their ongoing issues. Okay, so in this narrative, he walked away from the house after arguing with her. It was all verbal. This is ridiculous. He called the police because he got into an argument with her about her driving to pick up a daughter. Bob stated that because she was intoxicated. Bob stated that she's in no condition to drive. She became irrational and he left. She stood behind his van and would not let him leave. Officers tried to speak with her to check her well-being. She was uncooperative. She stated that through the mail slot, she was okay and wanted Bob to leave. Maybe she's a drunk. Cremo left without incident. He has been staying out of the residence for the past few days and is not planning on returning. She stepped out of residence and appeared to be physically okay. That was June of 2011. She appeared to be okay, but was she intoxicated? Doesn't say. I mean, did he make that up that she was intoxicated? On June 12th of 2011, officers were dispatched to their address again in reference to a suspicious activity complaint. Dispatch advised to meet the complainant, Denise Vecina Cremo, regarding threatening telephone calls. Upon our arrival, I met with Denise. Denise advised that earlier she had received a text message from an unknown contact number stating FUCK, stating FU. She received another text message from the same number stating, "Want to know what's wrong with her husband, and I bet I will break her nose." Does that even make sense? Want to know what's wrong with her husband? I bet I will break her nose. Denise then called the number and a male answered the phone. Denise was not sure who she was speaking with, but the male told her, "You bitch, I'm going to break your nose." While on scene, Denise's story kept changing and her mood was very inconsistent. Oh. Denise advised she recently changed her cell phone number because she had been having problems with unknown people calling her. Earlier in the day, Denise advised she had a dispute with her friend, David Daniels, for an unknown cause. So, who is this guy and how is he related to the family? I attempted to contact David but was unable to speak with him. I left David a voicemail message to contact me at the police department. I had Denise complete a written statement, which she signed. I completed a grand jury subpoena telephone records form, and no further action was taken. So here's her statement. Her statement says, "I received calls from David Daniels stating that his sister was calling DCFS on me. We talked as we've known each other for a while." Look at her handwriting now compared to earlier. Do you guys see the difference? I'll put these side by side so you can see them. "We talked as we have known each other for a while, and I looked up his brother-in-law's number on a paper. I called it tonight. His name is Eddie. He said that David was crazy and to ignore all of what he said. The other day, David stated to me that he is lucky I'm not abducted." In so many words. "I have since received calls from an unknown number to me threatening my safety. I would like to press charges against the person who is continuously threatening my husband and my physical well-being. This person has threatened to sodomize me and break my back. I would like to press charges." Now, earlier it said break her nose. "I would like to press charges, and I'm in fear of my life and of my children's lives and my husband's well-being." So they subpoenaed her records. Do you have the records on here? I'm sure we don't. We couldn't be that lucky, right? On August 3rd of 2011, Bob Cremo called the police to report his wife refusing to let him leave the house. According to Bob, he and Denise had engaged in a verbal argument about a prior traffic incident involving Denise and Bob's friend. Bob's friend flicked off Denise for almost colliding with him on the roadway. When Bob confronted Denise about the incident, the argument between Denise and Bob began. According to both Denise and Bob, there was no physical altercation between the two, just verbal bickering. Upon officer intervention, with Bob's approval, we suggested that he should just leave the residence for the night and not return. We instructed her to go inside the house and cut off contact with Bob for the evening. Both parties were provided with information on how to obtain an order of protection. Hope I'm not reading that too quickly. Oh my goodness. Then he called in November 11th of 2011. So 11/11/11. Bob calls again, the father, Bob Cremo Jr. He called in regard to a suspicious incident involving one of his neighbors. Well, if I lived next to these crazy people, I'd probably caught doing something crazy too. Okay. The narrative is that this neighbor stopped by his house to give his wife, Denise, a bottle of wine. Robert ad- Robert advised William to leave his property, and the officer attempted to make contact with William with negative results. At something, officer will follow up. All is okay. Um, Now, here's the scenario. There's two scenarios here. Number one, he's just an egomaniac that can't stand her talking to anybody else, but he's the only one that can, have contact with her, and he talks down to her all the time. And she's gone crazy because of all this. And now she drinks a lot. Or she is an alcoholic. This is my big or. She is an alcoholic, and he doesn't want people giving her alcohol from outside the house. And that's why he was trying to, and this guy was arguing with him about it. But who do you believe? Now, here's Denise's side of it. She says that on that day she pulled into her driveway as her neighbor was walking his dog past her house. Miss Pacina felt uncomfortable exiting her vehicle due to romantic interest that Mr. Hollander has shown her in the past. Okay. Miss Pacina contacted the police department, but Mr. Hollander had left the scene without doing or saying anything. At Miss Pacina's request, Mr. Hollander was served with a written no trespass order for the home. She does not want any contact with Mr. Hollander and has stated that he understood. Okay, so there's scenario number 3. That's just cleared it up. Okay, so then see, here's her handwriting again. Which is much nicer. She said, I met him this neighbor, while he was walking his dog on my street. We have been casual acquaintances for about 4 months. I pet his dog when he stops by my house. In early October, I noticed a change in him. He looks at me, and the frequency of him stopping at my house has increased. Late night stops became often, and he would ring my bell, and I asked him to stop. Then he started knocking and shining flashlights in my windows. He would linger outside for 20 minutes at a time. I asked him to stop. My children were scared. I felt a little afraid. I became much more nervous and afraid as his visits continued and would not stop. He would bring wine and ask me to drink. I said no. He continued, and police were called. They asked. He lingers across the street, and 3 days ago stood at the end of my driveway asking me to go for a walk. Today, he waited outside of my car while I stayed locked inside of it for 15 minutes. I do not want him to contact me or my family. I'm scared for my safety. Okay, so she issued the no trespass. So I wonder, did they get a statement from this guy? Okay, now we got a physical domestic in January of 2012. See, you guys, this many normal people don't have this many police records. So we know that something's off here, right? Um, the caller stated a female hit him and he is bleeding. Caller initially refused to give the address or his name. Upon callback, he stated the address. The caller will not answer the phone now. It was a verbal argument between this David Daniels guy, got something redacted, and Denise Pacina. That I think what's redacted after his name is his, it'll say like white male and his birth date or something like that. I think that's all that's redacted. No physical contact, no threats, no complaints to be signed. Daniels requested and given citizens assist to Starbucks, where he will take a train back to somewhere. Daniel was cooperative with the police department. So who is this? This is weird. This is like a third party thing going on here. Um, that was January 9th. Okay, same day. 911 open line, male and female arguing. Phone number matches domestic from earlier today. Oh my word. This is later in the evening. Holy moly, wait a minute. What I just read before was at 3 something p.m. Now, this is later in the evening. Obviously these people are just drinking. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong. Cell phone number unable to determine location exactly. No answer on the callback. David Daniels. And I'm thinking, let's see, had verbal dispute with his girlfriend, Denise Pacina. Okay, so he's an ex of hers. But wasn't she still married at the time? So she's like seeing somebody else while she's married to what's his name? Okay, I don't know that. Let me get the records. It could be that they were completely separated or something. I don't know. Okay. Male light green jacket, hoodie, walking a dog. Suspect is standing on the sidewalk across, staring at Bob Cremo. So this is that other neighbor. He said he's walking his dog and stopping across the street by his home and looking in the direction of his home and would like this to stop. Officer spoke with Hollander, who advised he was not close at all to the Cremo residence and only stopped to allow his dog to go to the bathroom. Hollander advised he would take his dog walks on a different route to avoid the view of the home. So we don't know if that's true or not. We don't know if that guy was. God, who do you believe? I mean, this kind of really puts you in the perspective of what the police come across and not knowing the whole story, you know? All right, now we got now we got November the 22nd of 2013. We got an intoxicated male, wife trying to keep him from driving. Then we've got male walking down the street with no weapons. So Robert Cremo had a verbal disagreement with his wife, Denise. They called the police stating Cremo was attempting to drive to work while intoxicated and would not let him get into his vehicle. No physical contact was made with the officers. Found Cremo walking away from the home, stated he was attempting to call a taxi to get to work to lock up his business for the night. Officers gave Cremo a public assist to Bob's Pantry. Because it said in another thing that I read that he's like an owner of several convenience stores, where he was to lock up his business and wait for a cab to bring him to his father's home for the remainder of the night. Another question I have is this woman the actual biological mother of the mass shooter? This is 51 pages long, and we're only at 39. All right, later on, August the 8th, 2014. Robert Cremo Jr. I guess he states that his wife will not exit his vehicle so he can return to work. Cremo took a cab to avoid further verbal argument with her, who was intoxicated. All vehicle keys were removed by Cremo. No further assistance needed. Domestic violence package information provided. You know, why does he keep calling the police on her? And why are they still together after all this? I mean, come on. So that was what time? That was at 10 p.m. Okay. Now we're going to go down because they were called back at 11:30 p.m. And a male was arguing with a female over moving a vehicle in the driveway. That was the narrative. It says that Robert Cremo Jr. reports that his wife is trying to have his vehicle towed from the driveway after she would not allow him to move the vehicle. Vehicle was not towed by Pro Towing, who was contacted by Cremo's wife. Cremo will be leaving for the night. No further assistance. This is ridiculous. These people are ridiculous. And you wonder why this child turned out the way he did. So if that was 2014, that was 8 years ago. So at the time of all of this going on, he was he 14? He was 13 or 14 when all of this was going on. This is the example that they've set for their children. December the 29th, 2014. Denise states a male subject, only known as William, who lives nearby. Okay, here we go with the neighbor again. Shined a flashlight into her window approximately 30 minutes ago. She stated William has done this in the past and that she had signed a no trespass against him, but she could not produce one. Pacina did not know the man's last name or address. Pacina could not confirm whether it was the same man who appeared to be highly intoxicated while speaking with officers. Pacina changed her story multiple times, saying the man was on her front lawn alone shining a flashlight, then later stated he was running away with his dog down the block. Also on scene was her husband, Robert Cremo Jr., who stated he did not see this man on the property, but he did see a man walking down the block towards Deerfield Road with a dog, but could not confirm that it was this William guy. The area was checked. They were unable to locate this guy, and Pacina advised to call immediately if any subject shines light in house again. It said the husband and woman are very irate. They live in condos. They had previously had a problem with the stalking. Okay, so let's see what happened next. May 8th of 2019, 5 years later. Oh, she found a dog. They called the police to remove a dead possum from the road in April of 2021. They like to call the police. So that's it. So this last one, she's reporting her card got stolen in transit to her and somebody else used it, but who knows? Who knows? Crazy family. You guys, this is what happens. Now, they're saying that they're just pulling up the report. Okay, here she is. Oop. Can you see this? Let's make sure you guys can see this. There she is. That's her. She's pretty. That's their house. Robert Cremo III had an apparent obsession with the number 4 and 7. This was his car, you guys. Look at him. This was a weird kid. In April of 2019, he threatened to kill his family. And there's the dad, who apparently has lost weight since then. Dad said that he admitted that his son deserves to serve a long prison sentence. They're saying that he apparently drew this picture. It's a mural depicting a gunman with a happy face. It's on the back of his mom's home. Holy crap. Okay, so they did interview him, and he said that the father, and he says that at one time, local mayoral candidate washed his hands of any guilt over how his son was able to obtain the gun. Yeah, but the father still sponsored the application 3 months after his son was labeled a clear and present danger. There she is again. He insisted he sponsored the application because he thought his son was going to use the weapon to go to the shooting range. I'm going to let that sink in because I'm letting it sink in here and I'm going, wait a minute. Oh, so that's all okay. So you sponsored gun so he could just go to the shooting range. You didn't think it, you knew he wasn't right in his head, but you didn't think anything past that. Okay, daddy. Mm-hmm. The dad says he bought everything on his own and they're registered to him. I mean, total denial of any accountability in this. You know, he drove there, he ordered them. He drove there, he ordered them, he picked them up. They did his background check on each one, and he insisted he has zero involvement in the massacre. Father's a piece of crap. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. The mother could be crazy, but the father's still a piece of crap as far as I'm concerned. Daily Mail is calling her flighty. Oh, now this is interesting. DailyMail.com revealed that Cremo and his younger brother were often left behind at their after school program because their flighty mom forgot to pick them up. That doesn't surprise me. Police said they had no indication that she knew her son was the shooter when she agreed to let him take the vehicle. It was revealed that Cremo went to his mom's house and borrowed her car after the shooting and drove to Madison, Wisconsin. Why did he drive his own car? Oh, you know what her job is for? Her job for a living is an alternative healer. She angrily refused to answer questions from the DailyMail.com about her son and Monday's massacre as she unloaded her car. Well, I don't think I would have wanted to talk to anybody either. But why is she out shopping? Unless she just didn't know what had happened. She's like, what? Say what? He did what? What'd he do? No, this was Wednesday. The incident happened on a Monday, so she knew. Oh, good Lord. That house looks like a mess. Full live apart. So they do live apart. Well, thank God. Well, we know they do now because there would have been more police reports. So it says Denise and Bob, the husband and wife, 58, Bob's 58, are not to believed to have been at the courthouse when their son appeared via the electronic link. So they didn't go to the courthouse. They didn't support their son. I'm not saying what he did is right, guys. I'm just saying another incident where you have you have the parents completely throwing their hands up, like, I didn't do it. I don't want any part of it. The couple lived apart. Priscilla lives in a little over a mile from the scene of the shooting, while Cremo's father has a home in Highwood where the shooter lived until his arrest. So he was living with his dad. So his dad knew he was a crazy psycho. Later in the afternoon, Cremo's father, Bob Cremo Jr., arrived at his nearby home in Highwood with two law enforcement officers and was pictured exclusively by DailyMail.com. The dad led the officers, one of them with a pistol tucked in his waistband, to the separate apartment at the back of the property where the shooter lived. Okay, so he had his own place technically, but mom and dad were paying the bill. Oh, look at this picture. Now he doesn't look crazy there. He looks like a teenager, right? When was that taken? Okay, so all three were there for a few minutes before emerging at 4:50 p.m. Bob, in a black t-shirt and blue jeans, headed straight for the blue Nissan Rogue before backing out and driving off, and the officers headed in a different direction in a silver Chevy Suburban. At Wednesday's court appearance, Cremo spoke softly to tell the court that he did not have a lawyer and to ask for a public defender. He was dressed in all black, wore his long dark hair draped over one eye, and shifted on his feet as he appeared via Zoom from a room in the Lake County Jail. He was denied bond, which was good, and he will remain in custody until the next court date. Now this is old, guys. This was back in when this all happened. It was revealed that Cremo went to his mom's house and borrowed her car after the shooting. He drove to Madison, Wisconsin, and happened upon another 4th of July celebration before he was arrested. Police said they had no indication that he knew that she knew that the mom Denise knew he was the shooter when she agreed to let him take the vehicle. DailyMail.com previously revealed that Cremo and his younger brother were often left behind at their after-school program because of their flighty mom would forget to pick them up or their dad was at work. Cremo attended Lincoln Elementary brother Sam. Between 2008 and 2014, they attended the LEAP after-school program. A sports coach in the program told DailyMail.com how out of hundreds of kids he taught over the years, the Cremo brothers stood out because their parents often left them behind. Black and white right there, guys. He said it, of course, did not explain why he committed such violence yesterday, but that the constant occurrences likely made him feel neglected as a child. Preach. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's unclear when the shooter's parents separated, but they no longer live together. The father's a local deli owner and a one-time mayoral candidate. His mother is an alternative healer. A video of her talking about the alleged healing powers of magnets and mindfulness made in March of last year is on YouTube. We're not going there, y'all. We're not going there. If y'all want to go there, you can. Conman, that's like a last name, this is the coach, remembers the father often being tied up at work or forgetting to make arrangements for Bobby and his younger brother. That's horrible. That's the father back then. He's lost a lot of weight. That's the apartment he lived in behind his house. And this was a much older picture, which I hate that his little brother is shown in here. I don't want his little brother to be seen on here. The shooters, so they're saying that Bob Cremo, the coaches and stuff that worked with the school after school program, said that Bobby and Sam were quiet and reserved at the after school sports program. And they said that the father seemed hardworking and nice enough, but always late, according to the coaches. Bobby and his brother were always the last ones. Either somebody forgot or they were busy to pick them up. The father had a business. He was routinely late, or the mom was routinely late. It ended up getting to the point where they had words with the faculty advisor. Nobody could get a hold of anyone in that house, he said. He added that Bobby and his younger brother seemed to get along and never caused any problems in the program, but that they were quiet. He was a little more reserved and shy, but certainly there was no sort of indication of anything sinister. The problem was more with the parents than the kids, he said. Cremo's parents have not yet commented on Monday's horror except to an issue of statements through their attorney. We are all mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, and this is a terrible tragedy for many families, the victims and the parade goers, the community, and our own. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody. So this is where they say it's when they took him down. I want to know if he had the face tattoo when his dad bought him the gun. That's all I'm saying. Oh, okay. We got to listen to this. I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but we're going to listen to this. Why is this sound not working?
Energetic mindfulness can mean many things. And we live in a world where we're getting a lot of electromagnetic frequencies everywhere, not only from the Earth's field, but also from like microwaves and computers and phones. And we're filled with energy. We have subtle energies of the body, and they usually start with vibrations. And what these vibrations are telling us usually is that it's something to focus on. Not necessarily that something's wrong, but something that needs to be shifted. And if we don't do anything about it, they can be causative of disease. And with the way we get better is by keep repeating it and keep repeating it, and every awareness will bring on another. So it's like a rolling effect of waves of new awakenings that happen.
Yeah.
If you still after some time cannot feel anything at all, you can do what's called a muscle test. And a muscle test is what's called connecting with your higher self. So connecting with your subconscious. So the first muscle test we're going to do is called a ring test. And so what you're going to do is you're going to make your fingers into two rings.
All right,
You're
play
going to
along,
Okay.
everyone.
and you're going to put it inside the other.
Okay.
So once again,
Mhm.
two rings open, put it inside the other. And they're just sitting there at a pause. They're not tugging. They're just sitting quietly,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
every
Okay.
time we test, once we ask a question, we are going to come back to this pause. We are not going to constantly tug every question that we ask. We must create a pause between questions and realign, reset our bodies so that it is in the pause motion. You don't want to be like, yes, no, yes, and that is not okay.
Okay.
But back to the cells. How do magnets help in balanced cells? Well, in
Mhm.
very just clear terms, it shifts bond angles. So what happens is when we run the magnets over our body, the
Yeah.
imbalanced cells.
I've heard that before. Okay, we're gonna get out of this. We're gonna get out of that. Okay, so I've heard that before about the magnets. I don't dispute that, but s- I'm not saying nothing else. Okay. Um, that's the house. This is the father's house, Highwood, Illinois. So there's his car that was sitting out back. So did he not take his car? Didn't want to be recognized? I mean, hello, the car did stand out. Oh, I totally forgot about this, you guys. He had dressed up as a woman to carry out the attack, then used his disguise to hide in plain sight among the frightened crowd as they tried to flee. He then went to his mom's house and borrowed her Honda Fit. Was he trying to make it like his mom did it? Is he mad at his mom? He then drove out of Highland Park and managed to evade police for 8 hours before being apprehended. I totally forgot about that. Whew. Mm-mm-mm. What? I'm tired of the dive for today. So, oh, I just got a super chat from Paulers again. Thank you, Paulers. You're an awesome person. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening, guys. Well, we're gonna dive deeper into this case. Apparently, this thing, although it happened a year ago, I mean, the trial and everything is just it's it's coming up. So I don't know how you guys feel, but I would like to follow this. I think this is a good one to follow. There's a lot of going on here. I mean, hello. So stay tuned. I'll start a playlist for this specific thing, and because of YouTube and certain words being weird on YouTube, they've got that community guidelines. They don't want people talking about this stuff too much in the wrong way. So what they do is they say they don't like the words that are used when there's an attack like this. So I have to be really careful of how I state things and how I word things. So I might just put it as the Cremo case or something like that, but you'll know. Or maybe I'll put it as the 4th of July 2022 parade thing or event or something. So that's how you'll be able to find it on my channel. I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for sticking with me. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you for all the subs, all the new subs, all the old subs. You guys are awesome. I love y'all. I will talk to you all very soon. Have a blessed week. Stay safe and be good. Bye, everyone.